Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's me Pixella and today we have a special video. This is the Creator Studio INZOI demo first look. So what I did is I tried to build basically a house, and I'll be telling you guys my first thought on the INZOI build mode. So as you guys can see, I'm not doing anything special. Again, this was literally my first time ever touching this build mode, so I tried to keep it very simple, and you're probably going to see me go back and forth a ton. And also, all the information I am saying might not be fully accurate. This is just my opinion and my first impression. Keep in mind, this is a demo, so it's probably gonna get better once the game actually comes out. Now, as you guys can see, I started building something, then I restarted it. Now, one thing I noticed is that you have a lot of freedom in terms of where you are placing walls, which is a good thing, but also can make it challenging when you are trying to align different rooms together. So you can see right here in a second when I turn around the camera, you can see that the walls are not perfectly in line, which was kind of bothering me in the beginning, but we will just ignore that. Now, in terms of the roofing, it is very easy to create roofs. Right here, I'm trying to use my keyboard instead of my mouse to rotate, and you just see that I end up going with my mouse just because using those keyboards, I don't know if it's just with my computer, but it seemed to be working very slow. So I just ended up going for the mouse throughout this whole build. Now, there is a lot of customization for everything. As you can see with the roof, there's different areas of the roof that you can customize. Something I really like, and that is very different from The Sims, is that you have properties that you can edit. So you can either make something more glossy, less glossy. You can even change the sizing of the pattern. Now, you'll see me compare a lot to The Sims 4 just because this is the most comparable game that we have, right? Now, when I'm trying to copy patterns from one roof to another, unfortunately, it was not letting me do that, which I found kind of annoying. Same with the wall. So as you can see, I had to go ahead and do one wall at a time. Now, it might just be me and not being expert enough in this, but I could not, for some reason, find the copy mode. So it was one wall at a time. So what I would need to do is copy the hex and then paste it on the next wall. Back to what I do like is that color wheel. So woohoo, we have a color wheel once again, which makes it super customizable, and definitely we're going to be exploring those AI features later on in this video and what we can do with those. Now, while I am working on painting the exterior of this house, I'll talk a little bit about the lighting. So for some reason now, again, this might just be with my computer, I do find the lighting to be a little bit weird. So in the top right corner, you can see that you can change it from daytime to nighttime. At some point, I do switch it all the way to the most daytime lighting to make it a bit brighter. But for some reason, like I said, it seems to be a bit dark. And there you go, we are now in the most daytime lighting. Now, as you see, when I first clicked, maybe you would have to go back, but there are some pre-built houses that you can look at. Another very interesting thing is that there are blueprints that you can use, similar in The Sims 4. Now, I am adding some windows and some doors. Again, as you can see, I'm having some difficulty with really aligning everything just because those windows and those doors don't snap as easily onto the walls. I will say that the build by mode navigation on the left hand side was very user friendly. There was no learning curve, very similar to The Sims 4. There's even a search bar that I would say is better than The Sims 4. Items are separated by room types, but also by category. So right now we are in the exterior and we are in the window category. So if you scroll down, there's window decorations, and then there's stairs, there's pillars, and there's ladders. So now what I was trying to do is add some character to the exterior of this house by adding some columns. And you can see me really struggling to bring this column all the way to that second floor. So you can see I'm able to do it on the side, but as soon as I try to stick it to the house itself, it's not letting me, and it's basically saying that it cannot do it. So I ended up giving up on that. Now this is what I was saying when it comes to blueprint. You can see all of the blueprints on the left hand side. We are now moving into the interior of the house. The first thing I did is set up these stairs. Now the stairs, I do find them to be awfully large for the space. I was still trying to figure out the proportions of everything, but you know, looking at how big these stairs are compared to the windows, I don't know, something seems a bit off to me. Let me know your thoughts on this though. You can see me customize the wood flooring by giving it a larger pattern to give it a more modern look, so I really enjoyed doing that. And now we are onto the AI generating texture. So I prompted it to give me a carpet texture and it did a very good job. Although it was a bit yellowish and you can't change the color of what the AI generates, I think it is doing a pretty accurate job, and I'm very excited to play around with more with this and see what kind of patterns it can create. And we are onto the second floor, so I wanted to keep it very simple. Like I said, what I did is just do 1 bathroom and 2 bedrooms. So we have the master bedroom and then we have the kids bedroom. Now, if you take a look at the left-hand side, we have basic walls and partial walls. Now, in INZOI, you can have different wall heights similar to The Sims 4. But one thing that I find really interesting with INZOI is that it seems to be using realistic units of measure. So what I did is I used the most basic and standard wall height, which is the 3-meter wall. I think this is going to be a great future for builders when it comes to building very realistic houses. They'll be able to literally take a blueprint of a real house and make it quite realistic within INZOI. Now, I wanted to keep it a pretty open concept area. On one side of the stairs is the living room, on the other side of the stairs is the dining room, and then the kitchen. What I found is as soon as you delete this wall, as you can see, the whole flooring changes to what was in the kitchen. So I ended up wanting to put in arcs, but I couldn't find arcs, so what I did as a workaround was add some door frames. Now we are onto the actual furnishing. Now I love this couch. I just really like the furniture that's available in INZOI. It is definitely more modern. It looks very realistic and I love all the customization that you can do. So you can see that I'm playing around with the colors of the rug to make it match the couch with that green, and you can edit quite a few areas of that rug. So now I am adding a fireplace. In the beginning I was like, it's fine, we can put a fireplace in the middle of the house, it doesn't need to be super realistic. But then I convinced myself that no, okay, it has to be against the wall, we can't leave it like this. So what I ended up doing is add a wall next to the stairs so that I can put that fireplace there. Now, one interesting thing is in order to place a TV, you need to have a TV stand. So there are certain restrictions similar to in The Sims. You cannot just place any item wherever you want. When it comes to placing smaller items like decoration and plants on top of tables and surfaces, the grasp is pretty good. You are able to easily move around deco pieces. Now this was another struggle. These curtains, I could not get them to align with my window. So I ended up figuring something out, as you can see. Now it doesn't perfectly align, but you can't really tell. Maybe the window is actually bigger than what we're seeing, right? I added another chair. And I added some plants to make the space a bit more homey. Then we have the door to the garage. Now in this little area, at first I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it, but I decided to make it a office space. Now you can see chairs grasp very easily, they snap very easily to desks and tables, which is nice. Then I'm adding a bookshelf here, and we are off to... Oh, no, actually, I'm adding some lights. Oh, one thing I did want to mention about the lights in INZOI. In Sims, when you add lighting, it seems to actually really brighten up your build, right? Whereas in INZOI, I'm adding lights, but I'm not seeing any effect on these lights. So I don't know if we're supposed to turn them on somehow, or maybe I need to be zoomed in, really in the house to be able to see the effect of adding a light. In terms of paintings, I could not figure out how to move paintings up and down, but the choices we did have, although they were limited, I did find pretty cute. Now I'm adding a bean bag right in the corner because I just thought it made it look pretty cozy. Now we are off to the kitchen. So we have a pretty big kitchen for the size of this house actually. And I'm playing around right here again with the snapping. As you can see, it is kind of hard to align everything. And I do find it very time consuming to have to align each counter because they don't snap like they do in The Sims. But again, I do have to mention all of the furniture that is available. I really like. I like the stove. I love the fridge. Everything looks just so realistic. As you can see, very similar to The Sims, they have each room section. Now, obviously, I'm sure they didn't want to copy them fully, right? So they merged the dining room with the kitchen. There's also some few extra ones. They have some life event ones and one just dedicated to hobbies and activities as well. In order to move an object, you have to click on it like once and twice sometimes, and then if you want to rotate it, you have to click on it, and you see how we have those little arrows that appear, and that's what you use to rotate your objects. Moving along to the second floor, we have the bathroom. I just added a sink, a toilet, and a shower. I thought that there wasn't enough space to add a bath. Now you can see I was having some issues putting the shower in the corner completely, which I am not sure about. And now I decided to once again test this AI to give me some bathroom tiles. And again, wow, what an amazing job. And I think it just matches the look perfectly. In terms of mirrors, I like how the mirrors do reflect realistically, so we can see the rest of the space through the mirrors and it's not just grayed out, right? Now, another very cool and interesting feature is the create your own furniture. So as you can see right here, you're able to select a few different types of furnitures and kind of customize them by either changing the tabletop and the legs and doing some different combinations. So I think this could get very creative and will create endless possibilities, especially with this feature where basically what you do is you import a picture from your computer and then INZOI tries to replicate it. So I imported a crib and then INZOI just tried to replicate it. Now, I don't think it did a great job, you know, in terms of sizing. It was okay. It was not bad for a first try. I wonder in terms of functionality how much can we actually use these objects, right? But I think it's gonna be great, especially for decorations in the beginning. You know, we can create different type of paintings this way, maybe import some clutter, and maybe for some kid toys, especially since I'm not seeing that much selection for the kids. I think this is a great way of just making the game, again, like I said before, endless. I do really like how light goes through the windows and is reflected within the home. I do think it gives it, again, a very realistic look. So good job on that. Now, when I was changing the flooring, I just noticed that they changed the flooring for everywhere. And that was because there was a little gap in my walls. So again, you have to be very careful the way you build your rooms. And you want to make sure all the gaps are closed out so that you don't have issues when you're either adding paint or flooring. So right here, I'm just finishing out the girls' room by adding a few extra paintings and a little horsey. I wanted to explore what kind of hobbies there are. So it seems like there's actually very interesting, like a lot of selection for the gym, which I was surprised. A lot of like actual gym machines other than just a treadmill and you're lifting weights like in The Sims. You have a lot more options here. To name a few, they have a air swing, they have cross country, they have a basketball, they have a workbench, hula hoop, piano, drums. They also have guitars, they have a photography station, and much more. Overall, I will say, although this house is very simple, I think it's very beginner user friendly. Now, again, keep in mind this was my first time ever in build mode in INZOI. There's definitely a ton more to explore and a ton more to learn, but for a first try, good job INZOI in terms of usability. And I can't wait to jump on this new journey once the full game releases. Now let me know what you guys think. Do you like INZOI? Were you able to get your hands on the new demo? And what else would you like to see? Thanks for watching. Bye.